So good evening, my friends from China and from Asia. And good morning, maybe, my friends from other parts of the world. Welcome to the class. Today, I'm going to share with you a topic of Chinese company investing abroad. And it has been a hot topic for a while, right? It started to become a hot topic since 2004 when Chinese company accelerated investing abroad. And it became even more hotter in 2008 after financial crisis, right? When Chinese company overseas investment was all of a sudden doubled compared with before. Actually, I had a lot of discussion with my friends from Chinese young multinational company, and every one of them told me that it is so hard to invest abroad wherever they go. And when I had a discussion with my friends, especially my friends from academic area, and my foreign friends told me that they don't believe Chinese company have enough capability to invest abroad. They feel that the strengths of Chinese company are all come from government's policy. But whatever they say, right now, China is the top two biggest investor around the world. Last year, the amount of overseas investment from China have already up to $145 million. So what's the secret? What are the challenges and how Chinese company overcome or build up their capabilities, right? Those are the things I'm going to have a discussion with you, all right? Time is not so long, so let me share my screen. It's fine, right? Okay. Me, myself, I'm the professor of international business. I'm the director of Latin American Center of Tsinghua University and the director of the Center for China Latin American Management Studies, which is a center of the School of Economics Management in Tsinghua University. Okay. I'd like to discuss with you for the following topic. First of all, global foreign direct investment trend and Chinese foreign direct investment position. The second is big challenges confronting Chinese companies and the development of Chinese young multinationals. And in the end, what will be the future in my mind? And of course, I'd like to save some time to have the discussion with you. I will try, okay? Actually, the reason, 1 minute. See, when we talk about foreign direct investment, which is different from the financial type of investment, different from portfolio investment. So when you talk about foreign direct investment, which is basically you have type of country in your mind, the capital come from home country, and the capital get into host country. Right? It just makes sure my friends here who might not familiar with these two terms, okay? The reason I need to talk about the global foreign direct investment trend and Chinese company position in it is because, for all these years, I've attended many international forums, and I found there's a type of discussion that really might cause the misunderstanding, which is, people talk about Chinese company investing abroad. They only talk about Chinese company. They don't have the comparison. They don't put China into the worldwide scene. That sometimes might cause misunderstanding. All right. So here I'd like to start by sharing with you the global trend of foreign direct investment, and then try to figure out what are the position of Chinese company in it. Okay, I think that's a very important background for all the topic we're going to talk about. Okay, see, this is the big landscape of global foreign direct investment. So what is the trend here? How do you understand the big reason behind the trend? And how do you predict the near future of this? A hard question, isn't it? I know it is hard. While you're thinking about it, let me help you a little bit. In order to clarify and simplify this question, I would like to divide this picture into two parts. The part before 2007 and the part after, okay? So you can see that before 2007, there's a relatively fast and stable growth. Here, I know you have already mentioned that in 2000, there's a big jump. I mean, the slowdown of the foreign direct investment. But just after 2 years, it has already been picked up very quickly, right? What is the reason for the drop of foreign direct investment in 2000 in your mind? At least two big reasons, right? One is the break of the IT bubble. The second is the tragedy. US is a really powerful economy, and something bad happened there really hurts the global economy. But just because it picked up very quickly, to me, I would like to take it as a temporary interruption of the globalization. Okay, so that's why I was saying that before 2007, you can imagine there's a fast growing and continuously growing of foreign direct investment. Why is that? What is things behind that? Let me just put it this way. When you talk about foreign direct investment, it could take two perspectives. One is from host country to the home country to host country, right? The other one is from developed country compared with developing country. Okay, that makes things more clear. You can follow me. Let me add two pictures here. See, this is the same trend from the perspective of home country, and the bottom blue part is the capital coming from developing world, and all the other part is the capital coming from developed world. So it's very clear that before 2007, the capital, the multinational company mainly come from developed world, isn't it? Okay. If you look at the same picture from host country's perspective, and you can have this picture. Again, the blue bar show the capital getting into developing world. So you can see the clear difference, right? For this part, you can see the developing country receive more foreign direct investment compared with we invest abroad, right? Especially before 2007, we start to receive more foreign direct investment rather than, investing abroad. That's clear, okay? So if I add these two pictures here, when we come back to this big picture, could you try to find out the background reason for continuous growing of foreign direct investment here? This way, okay? Actually, if you look at this picture from developed countries' point of view, you can see that the multinational from the developed world, they grow very fast. They really have the capability developed through first and second industrialization period, and they continue to strengthen that. they do have the internal motivation, very strong internal motivation to investing abroad for market, for for resources, for cost efficiency, whatever, right? They have that kind of tendency. At the same time, where they invest, of course, the developed world, developed country is one of their main host country area. But at the same time, with this picture in your mind, right, you can see that developing countries start to receive more foreign direct investment. Main reason for this is that after failing of the industrialization process in our own country, let's say the Latin American as an example, they started their industrialization process a long time ago, even before China. Okay? But they got into problem and they got into debt crisis, and they start to open up, trying to receive foreign direct investment. And China, again, we are lucky we didn't get into financial crisis, but we were not very smoothly for our own industrialization before open up, right? So we also try to see a new way of develop our economy by opening up. At the same time, China, we start to open up from 1978, right? But in beginning of 1990s, precisely in 1992, we accelerated with the Deng Xiaoping's South trip, right? And at the same time, Latin America actually accelerated their opening up all of a sudden, actually. Yeah. So see, for our own reason, for developing country, we have our own reason to open up to this world, trying to receive foreign direct investment. The interesting thing is that the motivation of developed country around this time period is actually really matching the motivation of the developing country like Latin America and China, right? So as a result of that, we have this type of trend. We have the foreign direct investment steadily and even faster growth during this time. I give a name of this globalization, okay? I call it the harmony time, the harmonized globalization period, okay? But after this, after 2007, you can see the FDI up and down, bumping all the time, never coming back to the top, the period. What happened there? I believe, my friends from everywhere around this world, you have your own reason. And let me put it this way. Actually, if you think about developed country, beforehand, they are the main investor of foreign direct investment. But after financial crisis, I believe you remember, take the UK and US as an example, they try to recover or redevelop their manufacturing sector, meaning that they want to draw their capital back for their own country. And actually, sometimes they did a good job. They really draw their capital from abroad to their own country. US is a fantastic example for that. Okay. At the same time, beforehand, there's not so many restrictions or policy towards opening up for the developed country, right? Right now, because of the financial crisis, they start to, join us trying to receive foreign direct investment. But at the same time, they have more concerns. They're thinking about their security issues, and so that their policy become complicated. And from developing country, on one hand, we are actually keep on opening up to this world, welcoming foreign direct investment. But many developing countries, we have already accumulated the experience of doing open up. So compared with before, some countries believe that when we open up and we can get the foreign company coming in and we can get the result that we want, which is in fact difficult. So the developed countries start to think about how to really get benefit from foreign direct investment. So they have new policies put in there. Okay. Of course, at the same time, there are some developing countries like China. We join the team of investors. Okay, so I do not need to mention more, but basically after financial crisis, many countries start to rethink about the result of globalization, and then they restructure their policy, trying to get more benefit from the globalization. I call it like restructuring of the globalization rather than, the backward of the globalization. Okay, but things change after the conflict between China and the U.S. We don't extend from here. Okay, it's become relatively more complicated, and unfortunately, pandemic here also hurt this type of investment. Okay, yeah. Let me continue. So this is what I mentioned here just now is the global trend of foreign direct investment. Now we come to the Chinese foreign direct investment, okay? See, this is the landscape of Chinese overseas investment. And actually, I draw this picture with the same lens of the time compared with the last picture. So it's clear that at the very beginning, beginning from 1980 until 2004, there are basically very little amount of foreign direct investment done by Chinese company. Why is that? It was clear. We opened up to the world from 1978. We were poor, and we focused more on the internal development for many years, right? We did not have enough money. We did not have enough human capital. That's why we did not have enough capability for investing abroad. Okay, but beginning from 2004, things are relatively different compared with the time we opened up before. We have already around 20 years development of China. So of industry developed, we have some big Chinese company developed. They start to have the capability investing abroad. From 2004, I do not know whether some of my friends could remember those big names who start this type of investing abroad practice. Who are they? Lenovo, right? TCL, Haier, right? This type of company. They grow inside China, they build up their capability, and try to invest abroad. Of course, for many reasons. I do not need to extend from here, but that is the thing. We accelerated investing abroad from 2004. But things changed in 2008. You can see all of a sudden, Chinese overseas investment doubled in 2008. Why? And what is the year of 2008? Financial crisis, right? So there are chances in that year to buy quality asset with relatively low price, right? Everyone did this. And actually, I have to say that through the lens of the history, the recent history, okay, it was the sort of only chance for Chinese company to take for this type of opportunity. And this is not, if you can remember the financial crisis in Asia, many companies come into Korea trying to take this chance. And let alone, in Latin American countries, you got into financial crisis many times. You can always see the capital coming in and out at the time of the crisis, right? But for China, the 2008 seems to me that it was the sort of only chance for them to take advantages of buying the quality asset at relatively low price, right? So that's why you can see the Chinese overseas investment all of a sudden doubled in that year. But after that, the Chinese investment, overseas investment continued to grow, right? And you might imagine, why is that? It couldn't be so much chances for so many years for a Chinese company to take, isn't it? There are much more complicated reasons there. And I just simplified it by saying this. For many years, in some countries around this world, there are still some chances, the similar chances. But for the country like US, the things are different. US has the very flexible mechanism of their economy. They recovered quickly from the financial crisis. So there were not so much chances like, before for Chinese company to take. But fortunately, more Chinese company continue to invest in US after financial crisis, before 2017. Why is that? I actually took the several tasks from our government trying to figure out what happened there. And actually, for several trips, I tried to pick up some of the companies who have already spent more than 5 years in US. I think those type of company could be a good example to test. Because, as the professor of international business, any company got into trouble in the host country with at the first 5 years when I started to invest abroad, it was not a shock to me. So I pick up the type of company who spend already more time in the host country. Yeah, the similar name, a familiar name came to you again. I picked a company like Haier, TCL, Lenovo, okay, and the Goldwyn, this type of company. And I visit the US and had a conversation with them. Just because of the time limit, I just directly tell you the result, okay? I feel very happy because I realized that those companies they have already very much familiar with the US business environment. They know the regulation, they know how to deal with those regulations in an appropriate way, and they are very much welcome in US. That really made me happy. When I had a discussion with their foreign employee, and their foreign employee told me that I like Chinese company because during those hard times, they don't, get rid of those, they don't making unemployment. They keep the workers, the employees inside their company. Okay. And also, you might not believe when I say this right now. I visited their Heritage Foundation and the American Progress Foundation. And then at that time, they said the Chinese company are very much welcome. Some of them told me that at the very beginning, they have doubt about Chinese company. Right now, they know Chinese investment is no different from other foreign companies. And they create a lot of the job opportunity, even very good job opportunity. We had that discussion. See, our Chinese company did not very much, at the very beginning familiar with U.S. business environment. When they took over a company, they keep their leadership there, and they provide high, the level of the salary, which made them very happy. Okay, so that was the information I received from U.S. from the discussion with the official, the employees by face-to-face conversation. Okay, but unfortunately, the things are different right now. All right. So what I'm trying to say here is to let you know what happened for the Chinese company investing abroad. And as a result, according to my research, according to my on-site discussion, I have the confidence in Chinese company by seeing that they really know how to do the investment in the host country, like US. And one of the biggest advantages investing in US is that they can find the synergy between US and China. I almost find, this type of synergy for every discussion with the Chinese company I invest. Okay, I investigated. Okay, so if nothing happened afterwards, I actually have the confidence that the Chinese foreign direct investment going to go on and even more, not only in the US, but also in this world. Okay, but unfortunately, it's not the case. From 2008, we got into trouble with the US, and after that, and the world got into the pandemic. So that's how you can see the slowdown of a Chinese company around this world. Okay. So after reviewing the landscape of the foreign direct investment around this world and the landscape of the Chinese company investing abroad, and I would like to put these two pictures together, meaning that let me put the Chinese outward investment inside the picture of the global foreign direct investment. And this is the chart you can see. And the chart showing you what is the position, global position of Chinese company investing abroad. Okay, what you have seen here. A couple of features, right? The blue bar, of course, is the global FDI. And the yellow one is the Chinese overseas investment. Couple of features which are very much clear. One, you can see that Chinese overseas investment is a clear latecomer, isn't it? Chinese young multinational company were absolutely latecomer. Okay, you can see very clearly from here. The second, have you figured out when we start to grow? In this picture, you can see that actually after so many years open up, globalization, and then the world have already get into deeply globalized, right? So Chinese companies accelerated our overseas investment was exactly at the timing that the world have already been deeply globalized, right? So what is the result of that? The result is that wherever Chinese company invest, we're going to get into fierce competition in those countries. Those countries have already been open up for many years. So any country we get in, we're going to get into global competition, fierce global competition in that country. All right, that's the result. All right. And is there any third feature? Actually, we do have this feature, right? I believe you have the landscape of Chinese company investing abroad in your mind. If you look at alone, right, it's here. You can see the fast growth. And if you come back to this picture, you can see the growing trend of Chinese foreign direct investment. It's actually against the mainstream of the global FDI, isn't it? I didn't add more picture here, but I can add more information. The fact is that the FDI from Asia is actually go hand in hand with Chinese foreign direct investment. We all grow up, okay, at the same time. And the second information is that if we compare with the foreign direct investment from developing country, and you can see that the FDI from developing country is also go hand in hand with Chinese investment abroad. So what type of foreign direct investment that Chinese company, sort of go against? You can imagine that, right? So this is the basic feature of the position of Chinese foreign direct investment in this world. We're really latecomer. We're growing at the time that the world have already been deeply globalized, and we get into competition everywhere, okay? And the trend of the growth of Chinese company is kind of go against the mainstream of the foreign direct investment around this world, right? Okay. So with this background in our mind, it will be not too difficult to talk about the big challenges confronting Chinese young multinational company. Okay, let me try this. The first one, the challenge one, being latecomer. And being latecomer, so what? As I said just now, being a latecomer, we got into furious competition wherever we go. Okay, compare with what? Compare with the time China opened up to this world. See, when China started to open up to this world, even though we did open up step by step, but whenever foreign company get the chance getting into China, and they can do whatever they want, they gain a lot of profit. In Chinese, we say that they can 他们好画最新最美的图画, meaning in English, they can draw a lot of beautiful pictures wherever they want to go. Okay, meaning that it's really a fantastic market for them. They make a lot of money from China. It's not so. You can imagine that at that time Chinese company were very weak. There were not so many foreign company inside, right? But we have so many people, right? Had potential customer in a big number, right? So that is the first. See, being latecomer, and that's the challenges. Being a latecomer, the Chinese company investing abroad, we get into fierce competition. That's really a huge challenge, right? And compare with the host country local company as well as the early comer, other foreign companies in specific host country. Chinese company were not familiar with the business environment. Okay, you can imagine that in Latin America, Spanish company are very much strong. In Europe, maybe no. Sorry for saying this, but in Latin America, a Spanish company, they're really very strong company, and they hold a big market share there. Okay, the clear reason is that this country have the several hundred years colonization history. Right, we're not discussing the colonization itself, but from that year, the system, the culture, migration, all these type of things happen there, right? They have a very close connection with the Latin American countries, right? So they are early comer, very early comer. They dominate almost early time. They dominate a lot of asset there, okay? Resources and asset. Okay, and compare with the early comer, and Chinese company have relatively less opportunity to take. That is the fact, right? For example, also in Latin America, during 1990s, many Latin American countries have their own privatization. And there are many quality asset resources sold to the private sector with low prices. And of course, at that time, Spanish company, as well as US company, maybe also some Japanese company and company from Europe, they are the big benefiter of the privatization process of Latin American countries, okay? But at that time, as I mentioned before, the Chinese company, China, we were doing our own reform and develop our own economy. We did not have the capability at that time investing abroad. Okay, so we lost a lot of chance, right? Compared with other companies from other countries. Okay. Second big challenge is that Chinese company actually confront a huge differences. The differences between China and their home country. Here, I'd like to mention the theoretical framework created by the Harvard professor Ganward. They called cage distance framework. According to this professor, they said that actually the world is not globalized. Basically, it is semi-globalized, meaning that there are a lot of differences between home country and host country, right? Actually, there are a lot of theories talking about these type of differences, especially cultural differences. To me, the Professor Ganward's framework, they cover most of the aspect of this type of discussion. So I would like to put it here so that we can be familiar with this type of discussion. He said the differences between the host country and home country are mainly four sources, okay? The cultural differences, administrative differences, the geographic differences, and economic differences, all right? And more practically, which I like it a lot, Professor Ganward did not only mention the differences could be divided into four aspects. And the differences actually exist in different level, not only on country level, but also on industry level, as well as on the firm level. Let me put it like this. Okay, you can see on the top, there are four areas that show big differences: cultural, administrative, geographic, right, and economics. Now, on the other hand, we have the differences on the different level: macro, industry, and firm. And actually, on each level, you can list several things. Like on the firm level, we can talk about the differences on the entry mode, differences for R&D, differences for marketing, blah, blah. Okay? So you see, the interesting is that if we put everything together, it look like what? Does it look like a cage? And a smart professor like Professor Ganward, he picked up the first chapter, the the first chapter of the world. C for culture, A for administrative, G for geography, E for the economics, and put this four character together. It's exactly the cage, isn't it? So if the host country and home country have big differences, okay, differences in different perspective and different level, and put them together, it's really like a cage. Cage for what? Cage for foreign direct investment. Cage for cross-border investment. So if you see the big cage between the home country and host country, if we have a chance, you're going to avoid off the big cage, meaning that you're going to choose the country to invest where the cage with your home country is small, right? But if you have to invest in a country that with a big cage of your home country, and it will be difficult. And you need a big capacity, right? You need a lot of effort, right? So that's the theory. And actually, here I will, let me see whether I could give you a little bit more chance. Let me come back a little bit, because I believe if you're not in business, it's not too difficult for you to understand the differences on macro level. Let's say the cultural differences and the country's system is different. It's easy to understand. But for business, it's more important thing is the differences on industry level and firm level, right? Let me give you two examples here. For the industry level, see, right now, almost everyone know that Chinese construction companies are very capable companies, right? They did a lot of construction projects, complex projects inside China as well as in the world. So it should be not too difficult for Chinese companies to invest in the place like Latin America, isn't it? But it is not the fact. It is difficult for Chinese company. Why? Because the mechanism of the investment is different. Inside China, when Chinese company do construction project, we call it, they use the contracted type of manner to do this type of investment, to do this type of project. Okay, meaning that they built the roads, they built the airport, and then they receive the money from the government. That's easy. But in the place like the Latin American countries, that's different, because most of the country, their government did not have enough money. So they try to attract the private sector to invest as well. So they use so-called PPP mechanism, the public and private partnership. With this type of mechanism, they need the company to invest, and also they need the company to operate inside their country. Those are the things that Chinese companies are not familiar with. So in order to invest in Latin American country, you need to learn very hardly what is the PPP mechanism and how to carry out it. Okay? So the differences on the industry level does really matter. Okay? For the firm level, there are also many cases. For example, hiring worker, hiring the personnel. All right. See, inside China, many years ago, because China was a very poor country at the very beginning, and the Chinese people with a really heavy, kind of mind, taking care of their family. So when the Chinese, when the foreign company investing here, hiring Chinese, the worker, or say the employee, many of them, you might not imagine, right? Many of them asked for additional working hour. For what? For gain, for earning more money. It was very important for them because if they can earn more money, they can get their family member out of the poverty. They felt that's their duty. Almost everyone did that. Okay, so they continue to work. They want additional work hours, and this type of workforce was very stable and disciplined, and it's to the honor to the company. They are more welcome. Okay, let me put it this way. But in some other countries, the things are different, which is not the right or wrong issues. The people have different value to pursue, right? So when I go to some of the Africa country, and I go to some of Latin American country, the people like work well, earning money, and they like to use this money for their pleasure. They may not come back after the weekend until they spend out all the money they want to come back. They are happy and they feel it's good to do so. I think it's not like who is right, who is wrong. But to the company, you need to put more effort on how to make your work, the working process more stable, right? Like that. Okay, so the differences actually matter. All right. So let me summarize the differences, because there's a lot of differences. If I all use the example, and there's some. Too much, right? Let me just summarize some of the influences from this type of case. At least two very important things. One is that it's really influenced the mutual understanding between the host country and the home country in general. And just because China, actually, we do have huge differences between our own country and with this world. There's many countries around this world, right? China is a country with 5,000 history, many different things, right? So it's actually different, really influence the mutual understanding. Let me just briefly talk the example here, right? See, Chinese company, when we grow up, we like to invest in Mexico. Like, let's say the car company. Why do they want to invest there? They feel that Mexico is relatively big Latin American country with a relatively high income level, but they're very similar as China. They're not that rich, and the market, the future is like price sensitive. So maybe Chinese product is could fit into Mexico's market. That's why our car company want to invest in Mexico. But when I was invited by an previous ambassador, to visit their country, and then I realized that Mexico, they did not really want the car company from China investing in Mexico. I mean, the assembling type of car company investing in Mexico. What they want is to strengthen their own mechanism on NAFTA, meaning that they want the car components company, manufacturing company investing in Mexico, so that they can strengthen their structure of their car industry. Okay, so see, this type of it's difficult for a Chinese company at the very beginning to really understand this, right? That's because we don't know this. Again, the other example is Chinese company investing in infrastructure in a developing country. So in China, we really believe that kind of experience inside China. We call it 路通财通, meaning that whenever we build the road and we get economy going, and people get rich from there. So we feel that investing in infrastructure in developing countries is a very good thing. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, there are complicated reasons there, okay? For whatever reason, and some of the country will say that, the infrastructure investment is like creating the debt traps. I don't have enough time to explain a lot from here, but there are, I believe, a big misunderstanding there. All right, so that's the one of the big influence. And this type of influence, of course, put the challenge in front of Chinese company. And the other thing is this type of cage, this type of differences, really influence the capability transfer, as well as the capability building of the Chinese company in the host country. Why is that? Example is more clear. Okay, let me say the things here. Higher investing in U.S. As a professor of international business, and always ask this type of question in my class to my students, saying that, higher investing in U.S., what kind of the competitive advantages they have. Many of my students saying that, they're always the advantages is the cost efficiency. But can you imagine this type of cost efficiency type of advantages? Could this type of advantages support higher investing in a country like US? It's difficult, right? And you got to ask for the question, where this cost efficiency advantages come from for higher inside China. At that time, mainly from the low cost but more efficient labor force, isn't it? But when in the Western US, can they bring this labor force with them? Absolutely not. No, right? So it's difficult. So this type of case block this type of the capability transfer from China to the host country, right? Again, Chery investing in Brazil is the same thing. Chery can make good cars with low prices inside China, but when they invest in Brazil is a special country. They enjoy their big internal market, but they do not want other company enjoy only their internal market. It seems to me that they will say, if you want our market, let's see what inside the market, right? So they need the foreign company invest there, and with a pretty high, like more than 60% of their local content. So with this in our mind, even though Chery can do a very efficient car inside China, assembling that inside China, but it doesn't guarantee this good company can do the similar thing in Brazil, right? So again, you can understand the capability that accumulated at home for a Chinese company. Sometimes it's very difficult for them to transfer this type of capability abroad. Clearly because of the cage, right? Clearly because of the cage. This is the big challenge. On the other hand, again, because of the cage, you can find out that there are some of the capabilities that you absolutely need to have in the host country, like Latin American countries. I'm the director of Latin American Center, so I always use this type of example. Inside Latin American countries, they have strong union. They have the many local communities, right? The company who operate in the Latin American countries, basically they need to have strong capability to deal with union, and they need to have the familiar type of approach to the local community. Those are the capability at the very beginning. Chinese company, we did not have that. Because inside China, the things are different, right? Even though we have union, the union always help us to have happiness, right? We go to the park and we do exercise together. That's the job of union. It is not the type like the similar name, and the institution under the similar name in Latin America, right? And also in other countries. So this type of capability that the Chinese company have to accumulate it inside the Latin America, or inside those countries whenever they invest there, even though they did not have it at home. Okay, so you can't really imagine that those are the huge challenges in front of them. Sometimes they have the very good capability accumulated at home, but they cannot transfer. Sometimes when they get into the host country, there are certain type of capability that they needed there, but we did not have the accumulation at home, right? So those are the real challenges. Okay, to finally see, even though when I talk with you, I can give you an example from different perspective, from different level, but in a reality, we can understand that the host country, they have all the differences combined together. All the level, all the aspect, they connected together. So they are a system, right? They are a system. So when you get into the problem in the host country, it is not only one, not only the problem itself, it's connected with the whole society. So that's why I say that, overseas investment, when I talk to my student, and I talk to my friends coming from the company, I said that you have to realize the overseas investment is not only the investment across border, right? It is the investment across societies. And everyone realized the difference between the word border and the society, isn't it? Okay. So, having said that, and then I believe you have already realized there are big challenges in front of Chinese companies because of their latecomer, because of the globalization, and we rise at the time the world have already deeply globalized, and because of a lot of things I've already mentioned. That's why whenever I talk to someone from Chinese company, and they really feel difficult, they really feel not easy to invest abroad. Yeah, I think that I already give you a very clear reason, isn't it? So how they develop themselves. Actually, investing abroad is always the complex issue. From all these years, I do have a lot of story in my mind, but it's difficult to mention all of them. Let me just try to mention some of them. Let me see whether I can make things easy understood for you. Here I just pick up an example, Chinese construction company, okay, China Construction, investing in US. Let me mention some of the facts here. The China Construction is a great company inside China. It's one of the biggest state-owned company inside China. If you look at China, you can see a lot of, the fantastic the construction project done by China construction, right? You can think about the water cube. You can think about CCTV headquarters. You know, the things is like that. The masterpiece is like that. They're all done by China construction. They started to think about investing in U.S. back to 1985, very, very early ago. In U.S., construction sector is actually a pretty local sector with relatively very small percentage of foreign companies in it, almost like less than 5% of the company come from the abroad, all right, including, I mean, from everywhere around this world, not only Chinese company. Okay, so that is the fact, meaning that not only Chinese company will have difficulty investing in U.S., the other foreign company also not so comfortable for investing there. It's not because of other things; it's because of the sector features. Okay. And then, compared with China, there are clear differences in between on the industry level. You can imagine that the standard is different, and the way of carrying out construction project different. Let me explain here. See, inside China, whenever we have big construction company like China Construction, and they can do all kind of job for construction project, all kind of job be done within one big company. But in U.S., things are different. They have a lot of constructor. They have a lot of constructors. You know, the contracted type of project. The firm are a lot from small scale, from small, medium, and large. Okay, so whenever they bid a construction project, maybe relatively big company compete for the main job, and then they will have to contract with all the other small contractors. You know, they do things like that. They're not like what we did, what we have done in China. But that's different. That's different. Okay, and also inside U.S. again, it's not like it's like almost many other countries around this world. You cannot bring your own construction team. I mean, a big team from your home country to there, meaning that if China construction, this company have a big, construction team at home, they cannot bring them into U.S. All right, only the high level engineering type of human capital can get the visa and getting into U.S. Right, that's different. And of course, again, union in some cities, in most of the cities in the U.S. are required, which we're not, which the China construction is not familiar with. Okay. So how to deal with this type of problem? I just mentioned some of the things here. Okay. See, China construction have all kind of certificate inside China, all kind. It can do, every type of job within the construction area, right? But that certificate cannot be transferred. They have to make something there so that they can gain this type of certificate, right? So they started to work with Chinese embassy to do some restructuring of a couple of Chinese embassy, which can allow them to bring in their own team for security reason, right? And for this type of opportunity, and they start to, even though embassy belong to China, right? But they're on U.S. land, and then the construction, the standards, they have to do it as according to U.S. standard, right? So with this type of project, and the companies start to get familiar with the U.S. type of regulation. All right. Again, after the restructuring of the some of the embassy, and they also help the Chinese company like Haier to build up their factory in South Carolina. Okay, for this type of project, they start to show to the market that they can do it, and so that they can support them to get some of the certificate. Of course, just because the type of company like AIG, they had a big business inside China. They really know who is China Construction. So AIG provided a letter of the guarantee for the China Construction in US, so that the China Construction can use that to connect the local company to bid the big project. Okay, so there's a lot of detail like that, right? And as I said, and as I mentioned, that when China Construction invest in US, it's not like the reason that I say that, because when I visit them in US, I have a very strong impression. When I talk about China Construction inside China, in my mind, is, how great they are, right? How big they are, how strong they are in China. But when I see them in US, they only have a couple people there, right? Because they cannot bring their team, right? So they need to build up their local network step by step. And they told me that at the very beginning, just because when I get the project, they have to connect all the constructors there. And they do not know how to manage that. They start to hire a relatively bigger constructor, and they then learn from them. And after several projects, they start to hire a middle type of constructor. And at the time I visit them, they were building a high school in South Carolina. And there's a young guy who, it seems to me, maybe only up to 30. Okay. And he himself, he told me he managed more than 20 constructors, small and medium. Most of them are very small. Okay. He himself to manage more than 20 constructors to build the high school there, meaning that after several years, they developed their management skill to manage their local network. Okay. And beforehand, and also have the doubt, professor always have the doubt. I put the doubt in front of them, saying that, how can you show your network in front of me? You give them job and provide them money, and they're going to work for you. You can provide the money to whoever want to work for you. They said, no, this is not a fact. Actually, when we try to bid the project, we need to provide the lowest price of the project. And the lowest price that we can provide have to come from our potential constructor who can give us their lowest price. And because of that, we have so many constructors, they provide their lowest price to us so that we can win the bid. And then we can work together. And that persuades me. I understand that after so many years, they have already built up their local network. All right. Let me just, and I really need to Hurry up. Okay. More example, like the union, because the union is really something at the very beginning is a big headache. I have to say that, right? Because we do not know how to do with that. And China Construction, at the very beginning, they choose the place like South Carolina, and that is the place they do not have the strict policies for forcing you to have the union. No, which was not the case. But when China Construction went into the city like New York, and they have to deal with the union, okay, and then they test it. But afterwards, when I had a discussion with them, they told me that it's not so difficult. And they find the advantages of the union, because when they sign with the union, and whenever they ask for, they need the skilled worker, then they ask for it. They not need, and they do not have to, keep those workers inside their company. So it's very flexible. That's one thing. The second thing is that they found that the quality of the people who sent by the union are good. Yeah, they're more qualified, at least according to their experience at that time. Okay, so they felt that it's comfortable to work with the union in a U.S. way. And I felt that also persuadable. Yes, now they're quite comfortable to work with the union. Okay, that's the thing. So there are. I feel that I would like to listen. Love to leave some time for you question. Okay, I just pass this type of pass what I want to say a little quickly. Okay. So actually, this big company put a lot of effort on many details to learn from the U.S. company, to learn from their partner. Inside the New York, when they have a big project and they try to contract them with the big U.S. company, and then they told me that we can learn the management skill with our U.S. partner. At the same time, we can show our, we can carry out the task of engineering, the technology, these type of things, which they're really fantastic and excellent in those type of skill. Okay. So by doing all this type of things step by step, the China Construction has become a fantastic U.S. company. All right. And actually, after many years, they start to do the merger acquisition. Beforehand, they do a greenfield investment. They want to really understand the market. After they feel confidence in understanding the U.S. market, they start to do the merger acquisition. They acquired one of the relatively big U.S. construction company. And after that, their, the not-profit, actually their business improved a lot. The reason is very clear. Actually, when they acquired that U.S. company called Plaza, actually I already visited them, had a warm discussion with them. The top manager from Plaza, they were very much happy to be with the China Construction because China Construction can provide capital to them. And the Plaza actually have strong capability with this money, and they can extend their business very quickly. That was the fact. On the other hand, when Chinese company was in U.S., they would like to have the China Construction to do their own construction project because, Chinese company with Chinese companies were very easy to communicate to each other. And in the end, it will be the U.S. company to do the construction for them. Okay. So this type of merger acquisition make the China construction have the advantages of both Chinese company and U.S. company. That's really good. So if there is no, I have to say, this is a pity that if there's no conflict between China and U.S., and China construction would have a very promising future in U.S. and they are very much welcome in U.S. Okay. But after that, of course, they're still in U.S. and based on U.S., they start to think about Latin American market. I actually met them in Panama and also met them in Argentina. They have gained a PPP project in 2019 in Argentina. Okay, let me stop this type of question. Okay, so stop this type of description. I know I do not have enough time to explain you more cases. Every case is complicated, but I believe you have already got most of the ideas and feelings I want to pass to you, right? So after so many years, the clear improvement of the Chinese companies like this, they get better understanding of the business environment. They know how to deal with union and local community. They have to get better understanding of the investment mechanism like PPP in infrastructure. Okay. And after these years, they have already done some good projects in the world, right? Like in Brazil, they have shown their great capacity of building the project so-called high voltage transmission line, which is wonderful. I just did not have enough time to tell you that story. I did a consulting project for this company, and my conclusion is that this company, State Grid, is not only the fantastic company inside China, play a very important role inside China. Now they are the competent local company in Brazil. Okay, yeah. And also because of all of this, in the world, for example, again, Latin America, people realize that China cannot be replaced by any country in this world. And 21st, right now, companies in Latin America have already signed agreement with on Belt and Road Initiative with China. Okay, I think that happened around this world. The improvement I've already mentioned here. Okay, so what will be the future? I just go through this. Okay, of course, not every Chinese company have become the type of company like China Construction and State Grid. There's a long way to go. So for the Chinese company, they need to continue to put effort on getting better understanding of the environment. And we would like to find best practice of Chinese company, both in China and abroad, because the Chinese company could learn from each other. And we would also like to share the good project with the world so that the other developing country might like to know, maybe they can learn. That's their decision. Okay. Meanwhile, we also want to, I think it's the time to find more best practice of local companies in the host country, as well as the foreign companies in the host country, so that we can also learn from them. Okay. I think inside the Belt and Road Initiative, we do have this type of saying that we want to learn from each other. That's very much important. And the other thing is that I want to encourage our Chinese company to try to understand the development tendency or directions of host country, and then to see whether ourselves, Chinese company, whether we have enough capability to work with them on their expected development. This is also the experience that we got from China. We can see that the good foreign company, which make a lot of money inside China, one of the most important reasons for them, for making those type of to perform that well, is because they understand China. They work with Chinese company, work with Chinese government for our Chinese people's Chinese dream. Okay. Of course, again, we want to encourage our Chinese company to get involved into the local society in the host country, building up local network and establish long-term local partner in there. Okay. Last but not least, I believe, actually, if you have the chance to work with Chinese people, we can say that Chinese people always say, we should do this, we should do that, rather than you should do this, you should do that. But I believe most of our friendly countries share the global development initiatives raised by our President Xi Jinping. We definitely, encourage our Chinese company to do all the things we mentioned above. But, if we only do by ourselves, it will be a long way to go because of because of changing world, right? But if we mean you and me, the host country and the home country, if we can work together and we can reduce the cage much quicker, right? We can try to get the beautiful future of global development, get the human community with shared future, will get them more closer. Okay, so thank you very much. I'd like to stop here.